Here we are in Oklahoma City at Kids Lake on the west side of Oklahoma City. Our audio is a little off today because it was so windy while we were out, but this particular lake was built near a housing area so the residents could come out and fish during the day. As we approached the shoreline here, there was an area that was cleared of the brush on the side of the lake, telling us that that was a place where people have come down and fished quite frequently. We're using a new magnet this week. It's 3 times more powerful than the magnet we used in previous videos. It also came with a new rope that is a lot thicker, so hopefully we'll be able to pull up heavier things with it. Didn't catch anything on our first throw. Despite it being a windy day, it was still a very beautiful day. I noticed on this stick that was sticking up out of the water here that there was a lot of fishing line tied up there. So I decided to go ahead and grab that and pull it and get it out of the area so that it didn't harm any wildlife. There were a number of ducks and other animals surrounded the lake. After I pulled it free, I noticed there was a hook on there. We caught that one without even using the magnet. I noticed there's a plastic bag in the water here, and while not magnetic, I could still use the weight of the magnet to coax it closer to the shore so I could get it out of the water. Our first 2 catches of the day, and we didn't even need the magnet. Now I'm preparing to go to another spot further down on the lake. What is that? One of the tools that fishers will use is a weight that clamps on to the fishing line, and it looks like a little metal ball. That's what I believe we've caught here. This was kind of funny because there's an aluminum can that's not magnetic stuck to the magnet by this other very large hook that was attracted by the magnet, and it caught that can right in between them. There are sticks down at the edge stuck in the water with the prongs pointing up, and the fishers, the kids or adults, will come and they'll place the fishing rod in the crook of that stick so that they don't have to hold it while they watch the bobber out in the water. So they know when they caught something to come and get the fishing rod and reel in their fish. I left the sticks there because the kids may come back and they'll want to have that to use in the future. That dark shadow there appeared to be some kind of netting. I tried several throws to catch it the same way we did the plastic bag on the other side. Was unsuccessful with that. I finally caught on something in the netting that was magnetic. Several attempts to pull it in with the magnet were unsuccessful. I could see what looked like a dead fish, about the size of a minnow, stuck in the netting. I was just not able to pull it in. I assume the other end was secured for some reason. This may have been used at some point to feed or populate the lake with fish initially, but it's been pretty torn up with age and with time. Ultimately, we decided to leave that there. One last tug just to be sure. At this point, we walked around to the other side. There was another little sandbar, but we didn't catch anything there either.
Is that like a dodo bird or something?
Where's he at? There he is. There's Buddy. Where'd he go? While driving from our first location to our second location of this day, I got the magnets stuck together in the trunk. You can see the size difference between our old one, the one I'm standing on, and the larger one. It was actually harder to pull apart than I thought it would be. Didn't see this throw, but our first catch at this location was the tiniest treble hook I've ever seen. One of my daughter's fingers for scale. See, very tiny shell here stuck. It looks like it had some of the magnetic debris inside it, but when I poked it, it popped open. touched it again and it broke and part of it flew away. And then the other part flew away. Like I said, it's a very windy day. And there's assorted other sizes of scrap. Can't really tell what any of that is. Oh no, I'm stuck. It does not want to budge. Maybe if I try a different angle. It was so windy, I could feel when I released the tension on the line that the magnet was starting to float away. So I let out a little bit of extra line, waited a moment, and then gave a good tug, and it pulled free from whatever we were stuck on. After our experience last week, we want to keep an eye on that rope and make sure we don't throw the whole thing in the water again. It's a tiny piece of metal with a hole in it. It looked like it might have been for a screw or a nail, and this other piece was a loop, but it broke as I approached the table with it. Watch your rope. It's another big piece of scrap. My camera person is telling me that I'm not holding things still long enough for them to focus on. It's right there on the table. I'll keep that in mind in the future. Like when I hold up this little rock. There's a tiny spider. Ah! My family doesn't like spiders much. Watch your rope. Here by the shoreline, there was a giant piece of concrete with 4 metal rods running through it, perhaps rebar. I tried several times to stick to it, but it was not going to budge. I really have no idea what I would have done with it if I had managed to pull that out of the water. Let's just try again to throw somewhere else. This was the cleanest piece of metal we pulled out of the water. weren't sure what it was at the time. Stuck up on here with these leaves and other assorted bits. There's a staple. Some more scrap. And that piece, it's got some writing. We might be able to clean it up and then tell what it is from the writing. It actually brushed off pretty well. Button broke off the end. Looked like you would push that button in and then these small metal balls in the sides would retract in and it would release from whatever it was stuck in. Later learned this is called a quick release pen. I still don't know what it was used for. And the writing on it said AVI Bank and then some more characters. You can find pens like this on stores like Granger. That might make a good keychain. There's a lot more scrap in here. Various sizes and shapes. At first I thought that might be an old Allen wrench. And that looks like a battery. And then there's a tiny shell. A nail. That is the first time I've pulled a battery out of the water. It is pretty badly corroded. It's a good thing we got that out of the water. I got tired of walking back and forth to the table, so I started making a pile near where we were. I plan to get a bucket or something else we can use in the future. This was a strange looking piece of scrap there that caught my eye because it had several shells stuck in it. And then I realized it was squishy. Seemed like there were still muscles in it. I'm going to throw him back in the water in case there's somebody still alive there. We want to be good stewards of the world around us. Clean up what we can and put back in the water the things that belong there. I have no idea what I was saying at this point in the video. Almost every throw on this side we were pulling things out of the water. This piece of scrap got me thinking, is it something that's corroded to the point you can't tell what it is? Or something metal that fell in and then the dirt compacted around it and it just grew to be a rock? It was right about this point when my daughter yelled, "Look out!" and scared this bird that was approaching us. with his fish in his mouth. He dropped the fish and stared at us for a bit. You can't tell in the video, but the fish is floating there by it. So it's definitely lunch. He tried to figure out what to make of us and what to do with his meal. Meanwhile, other birds circled the area, knowing there was food nearby. Eventually, he picked it up and started swimming, but you could tell his balance was off. Time to fly. And having reached the shore, he still decided to keep an eye on us. But we weren't going to keep him from his lunch. If you're liking our videos and are subscribed, click the bell icon to get notifications when new videos are published. Click on the like to let us know that you liked it, and leave a comment on what you liked and where you'd like to see us go next. Now let's go back to more bird eating fish video.